We all probably know someone like this. That person who just seems like a fortress of self-reliance, right? They handle everything alone, never seem to need anyone. They look so strong, so in control, totally independent. But what if that strength is actually, well, a shield? Today, we're going to look right past that surface.
So why? What's really behind this refusal to ask for help? Is it just pride? A massive ego? Well, the answer is actually so much deeper than that. It's rooted in the psychology of survival itself.
Because, what we see on the surface, that whole image of unshakable strength, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath it all, this isn't about their personality. For a lot of people, it's a full-blown survival strategy that they learned a long, long time ago.
Yeah, we can call this whole thing the self-reliant illusion. So let's start peeling back those layers and really look at the difference between what we think we see and what's actually going on.
Okay, so let's be honest. It's really easy to mistake this behavior for just ego or arrogance, right? We see someone who never asks for help and think, wow, they must think they're better than everyone else. It's such an easy conclusion to jump to, but it's almost always wrong.
And here's the absolute key. We're not looking at some kind of character flaw here. This is a pattern that was shaped by experience. It's a deeply ingrained response, not some conscious choice they're making every day.
So, okay, how does a pattern like this even develop? It's not just a bad habit. For so many people, this is a learned survival skill, something that was born out of pure necessity.
In psychology, they actually have a term for this, hyper-self-reliance. And it's basically a defense mechanism that gets built when a person learns, usually really early in life, that depending on other people just isn't safe. Their brain literally forges this super powerful connection. Asking for help equals risk. Risk of disappointment, risk of pain, maybe even the risk of being controlled.
So where does that feeling come from? Well, the roots are almost always in childhood. Maybe it was emotional neglect, where a kid's needs just weren't being met. Or it could be what's called conditional support, where love or help always came with strings attached. Or sometimes it's about being forced to grow up way too fast and take on adult responsibilities when you're still just a kid.
All right, so if this is a learned behavior, what are the emotions that keep it locked in place, even in adulthood? That brings us to the real engine behind all of this, the fear of asking. And this right here is the core conflict, the internal battle they're fighting. For so many hyper-independent people, the fear of being a burden is way, way bigger than the pain of being alone. Just think about that. They would literally rather struggle in silence than risk bothering someone else.
And because of that deep-seated fear, the simple act of asking for help can feel unbelievably vulnerable. It's not just about asking for a favor. To them, it feels like you're exposing a weakness, like you're giving up control and basically inviting shame into your life. It feels dangerous.
But here's the thing, this level of total independence isn't sustainable. It always comes with a price. So let's talk about that hidden cost, the real price of never, ever leaning on anyone else.
And there's a really profound truth to this. Imagine that strength is like a tower, just standing all by itself. When it's totally isolated, with zero outside support, well, it's really only a matter of time before
it just becomes exhaustion. Simple as that. You can only carry the entire world on your shoulders for so long before you eventually collapse under the weight of it all. And believe me, that cost is steep. We're not just talking about feeling a little tired here. We're talking about serious clinical burnout, a deep, profound sense of emotional isolation, and just the constant draining mental energy it takes to manage absolutely everything by yourself all the time.
So what's the alternative then? This is where we get to a really crucial shift in perspective, a total reframing. What if we've been thinking about what it means to be strong all wrong?
The old kind of flawed view of strength is all about carrying everything alone. But true, sustainable strength, that's about having the wisdom and the self-awareness to know when it's not just okay, but absolutely necessary to let some support in.
So here's a totally different way to look at it. The next time you see that person who never asks for help, try not to see arrogance. Instead, try to see a survivor. See someone who learned how to walk a tightrope for years, all without a safety net underneath them.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. For someone who is wired for this kind of hyper-independence,
Learning to finally ask for help isn't just picking up a new skill. It is a massive act of courage. It is, in its absolute purest form, a journey of healing.